Hey, what's up? This is Ainsworth, and today we're going to put together a song using the Casio VL-1. We're going to try to make as many of the sounds from the track as possible using this synth. Let's start off with what we're going to use as a lead. We'll use the piano in the low octave, and we'll go ahead and record a part. Alright, cool. So we got that. Now we're going to record a similar part with the same instrument, but in the high octave. Alright, cool. Now we're going to need to record a second section for the song. So we're going to switch to the flute preset on the middle octave. And I want this to be a different progression than the first section. I'm just going to play out the whole part here so I don't have to do too much editing afterwards. Okay, cool. Now I'll record a harmony part, but in the high octave. Alright, sick. Did that little end part differently there. Okay, now I'll go to the ADSR and just record this little extra part here. I can cut this up afterwards. I picture putting like some delay on this or something. Alright, last thing I need to do is just record one of the rhythm parts. I'm not going to be able to match it to the tempo I have here, so I'm just going to fix that when I bring it into my dot. Yeah, not even close. We'll fix it. We just need to get a loop of it there. That's enough. Okay. Now we can take all of this and we can cut it up into samples and turn it into a track. Okay, so I've taken the original wave file and I've cut them all up into unique samples, assigned them to their own mixer channel, and I've got them ready to be edited. First of all, we're starting off with the piano parts, both the low and high. On the low piano, I'm using Valhalla Space Modulator, and I'm using the preset Detuned Chorus. I like this chorus effect on the VL-1. I think it makes the sound more rounded and easier to blend in with other sounds. On the high piano, I'm using RC20, and I'm using the reverb and wobble effects. Here you can hear the two parts together. And this is just the high part on its own. Next up, we've got the flute part. We recorded it initially on mid and then an octave higher with a slight variation. On the mid part, I'm using RC20 again. And this time I'm using the space reverb effect. I'm also using the digital effect, which is like a bit crush to give it more texture, and I'm pushing it more towards the bit side, as you can see here, which is like a sample rate reduction. I'm also using RC20 on the high part. I'm using digital, space, and wobble, but I've also isolated some frequencies to cut out the low and high. I've also expanded the width. I also thought this section could use an additional harmony, so I brought in another synth. I created this sound using the VST synthesizer Kepler. I'm not using any additional effects on this. Alright, next up we've got the ADSR part. Effects wise, we are using a delay on this one. Here you can see the settings. We're using Valhalla Space Modulator again. This time we're using the preset Loose Doubler. It's another chorus. I just really like this chorus. We're also doing a bit of EQ on this one to just really cut all of the low end out and boost the mids and high mids. And yeah, I think this sounds pretty cool. Next up, we've got the Casio drum loop, which I have pulled into tempo. 110 is the BPM of the project file. Also tuned it slightly by pulling the pitch up so it matches the tune of the song. In terms of effects, we've got RC20 giving some heavy bit crush. We're also using a bit of distortion. We're cutting out all the low end with an EQ. We've also got a subtle delay. We've also added in some more punchy drums because the Casio drums are more like a percussion track here. And yeah, I just wanted some punchier drums. So I'm using a 707 kick, open closed hi-hat, and an 808 snare. The last missing piece here was another synth sound, something that could just really cut through Casio VL-1 and give this track some oomph, give it its disco bump. So the last thing I added was an art bass, again from my favorite VST Kepler. In order to give the track more dynamic, I'm going to add some automation to this synth, and the only parameter I'm going to automate is the frequency on the VCF. You can see here this really adds a lot of energy to the track. This is a powerful technique and I really think you guys should all try this out. With all these elements, we've got everything we need for the song. Here's what I came up with. Hey, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And leave a comment if you like this video, or if you've got suggestions for future videos. Check out one of these videos on the right. I've got live, improvised electronic jams, and full-on albums. See you later.